What is up, my tricksters? Your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero has escaped captivity. Ha! Suck it, Frank! Jerk! Anyway. Anyway, guys. Your friendly neighborhood Yu-Gi-Oh superhero is back with another IRL deck. But before we get into that, because this is also the second video of IRL deck December, I want to let you guys know a few things. First and foremost, if you want to support the channel, check the links in the description. You will get Frank merch. Please buy a Frank t-shirt. I'm tired of getting blasted at with lasers and getting hit upside the head with metal objects. It's very painful. Frank is kind of a jerk. It's not funny, Frank. Anyway. Or you can check out your playmats in the description below, and that also will support the channel. You get 10% off if you use the link or code BEN10YP. Those are just, you know, get you some cool ass sleeves here. Check them out. Look, here's my dino sleeves right here. Let me just rip this bad boy out right there. Boom, done. Yeah, it's got my logo on it and everything. How cool is that? Anyway, guys, we're gonna. Oh, also, check out my other social medias. I've been making art for other YouTubers lately, just because I can. So check out my Instagram, my Twitter. All that stuff is at the @ and the end card. You can literally just type that in and boom, done, you'll find me. That being said, let's see what Blue Eyes Invoked has got for us today. Alright guys, let's get into the deck profile. So the first and foremost, because it's Blue Eyes Invoked, you gotta have your 3 Blue Eyes White Dragons. Standard, you gotta have those. It wouldn't be a Blue Eyes Invoked deck if we didn't have 3. You can cut it down to 2, it's just the Blue Eyes players are gonna hate your guts if you do that, just FYI. I've seen so many Blue Eyes players get in the Facebook groups get uber mad when you do that, so... The next 3 are going to look a little bit weird for you. These are your other melody targets. We have our 1 alternative Blue Eyes White Dragon. Basically, the reason why we're only playing 1 is because it is a little bit bricky. Back when this card came out, it was actually really good. Popping stuff was really good. Being really big was also helpful, and being good for rank 8s was good. The problem is that you can only play 1 at a time, so it's too cloggy. So if you end up with like 2 alternatives, you can't do anything with it. So to supplement that, I decided to go a little more old school, and we're playing the Malefic Blue Eyes. See, basically, if we open one of these cards, because we're playing the Invoked variant, we're going to have a field spell. But also, this will get rid of that third regular Blue Eyes. It just isn't really all that helpful. Basically, we'll banish this, and if we have the reveal, boom, done, there's your rank 8. And, you know, a banished Blue Eyes isn't the end of the world. Now, and the last card is, because we're very budget, we don't have Levineer at the moment. I don't currently own a Levineer, but a Levineer would be better than this. So, but we're playing Chaos Emperor Dragon. Chaos Emperor is just a big 3000 beat stick. That's really all he is. It's just a searchable beat stick. So, it's easily summoned because we have lots of lights and darks in the deck. So, boom, done. But if you have Levineer, I highly suggest you play Levineer. Mac, if you have Levineer, I still think you should play the Malefic because it's just a really good extender. And like I said, if you want to play 3 regular Blue Eyes White Dragons, it's a good way to get rid of that third pesky Blue Eyes. That's really not doing too much for you. All right. So next we'll have our Faux Blue Eyes, which is our Spirit Dragon. Basically, this card is your just random spot removal. And then we have this card who I can't fucking stand, Nebula Dragon. This card is such a freaking brick, but I can't think of anything else to put in it. And when it does get to be used, it's useful, but it's so freaking annoying. Because every time I draw this card, I don't have a single dragon that it can summon, ever. Like, these are your 4 targets for this damn thing. And every time I draw this thing, these guys are either in the grave or banished or anywhere where they're except my hand where I can use this damn thing. So if anyone has a good idea of a 1-card level 8 that can special summon itself for free that I can play, that maybe it would be better use for this deck than this card, let me know in the comments, please. I'm begging you. I'm playing Nebula Dragon because I have to finish the deck out, not because I want to, because every time I want to play this card, it just never helps. Alright, now we got the triple Alistair and the Invoker. He's kind of the Stratus of the deck. And when we get to the extra deck, The really cool thing now is with this guy, isn't it now, there I have the ability to make a 1-card Makaba, which is so big that for me, that I didn't realize how big that was of a thing for this deck until I got the cards to facilitate the move. Then we got our triple Ash Blossom, because we need to have as many outs to Sword Soul as we can get. So that in that vein, we'll also have the Moonlit Chill and 2 Effect Veilers. Basically, there are some other cards that to facilitate that, but Sword Soul is really powerful. If you Ash / negate the right cards, these cards all come up and slow them down to where we can play. Then we got the baby white dragons, basically the eggs of the blue eyes. You got 2 of the regular Whitestone Legends, and then 1 of the ancients. Basically, this just gets you to your spirit dragon or your blue eyes, whichever one you need. And of course, you want the blue eyes in your hand, so you can use it for discard fodder or for Nebula Dragon if you ever draw it. Sorry, just mild rage there. Anyway. 1 invocation. I only have the 1. If I had to, I would play 2. Just FYI. This is why it's IRL Deck December, so these are actual decks that I own. So some of them are going to look a little weird, and this is the reason why. I only own 1 invocation, but I really like the deck, so I'm refused to stop playing it. I will eventually... what I would like to do, actually, is get rid of this copy of Invocation and then replace it with 2 of the lower rarities. I know that sounds really silly, but for me, it's more about functionality than, like, bling or having the better rarity. But unfortunately, I don't know anybody who would want to, in my friend group, I don't think I know anybody who would want to do that trade. But anyway, 2 Return of the Dragon Lords, because we have level 8 dragons we can bring back. It also will protect your dragons. If they would be destroyed, you can ditch this from the graveyard. It doesn't activate, it just does it. So that's so handy. Triple trade in, because we get dead level 8s in our hand often. So yeah, you want that. Foolish, this is to get to your blue eyes or to fill the graveyard with a level 8 dragon, so your Return of the Dragon Lords has a target. Most of the time I'm sending the Whitestone to get a card to actually use as discard fodder. Melody! Basically, this searches pretty much everything except Nebula Dragon. This will search all the out of all the level 8 dragons that you saw earlier in the deck profile. This will search all of them except for the Nebula. 2 Dragon Shrines. This is to get the fake vanilla one, the Spirit Dragon, and one of the eggs in the graveyard. Basically, what we're doing is if we're going first, we're bolstering our field or with this move, or we're preparing for follow-up plays. That's kind of what this is doing. Then we have your Magical Meltdown. This is what's going to protect your fusions. This is what's going to let you fusion summon unimpeded. Excuse me. Terra's just to get to it. It also makes really good Ash bait. For some reason, a lot of players see this and they just drop the Ash right away. They don't even bother to see what else you're going to play. It does suck when you draw multiple of the Magical Meltdowns, but, sometimes you get to use it as fodder for something like Mechaba, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but it does kind of suck sometimes. Then we got Triple Chalice. These are like budget imperm, basically, but this also helps against the Sword Soul matchup, ironically. So if you're going first, you can set it like a trap, and then, of course, if you're going second, it's something that your opponent has to respond to, or they lose a negate, which that's kind of really important, this format. So you definitely want to play something like this if your deck can facilitate it. The other thing I would suggest is if you don't have chalices, one of the things you could also do, I'm just going to real quick give you guys a suggestion of something that you could try, is you could try something like Book of Moon or something like that. The idea is to protect your, you could use this to protect your Alistair searches. You may not, I don't think you'll be able to fuse with that Alistair once it's face down, but you might be able to fuse with something in your hand, or if you have a second Alistair, you can do it that way. This is just to facilitate actually getting to Invocation, just as a sidestep, because I know that I think the commons are going for like $1 right now. But just in case, maybe this isn't quite something you have access to, you can do this in the interim of getting a hold of this. Just as a thought. And then last but not least, just in my little spicy tech card, is the Ultimate Creature of Destruction. I actually wish this card was a little more I don't know. This card is so powerful for Blue Eyes. It really is. Making the card unaffected, can't be destroyed by battle. It's so powerful. But I wish this card had a little more use to it than it does. Maybe in someday in the future there'll be a deck that can actually like abuse a Blue Eyes deck that can actually abuse this thing. But I just have it as a tech card just because I really like it. It has come up and saved my butt a few times. So I can't bear to get rid of it. But now we're gonna go into the extra deck. We got Blue Eyes Twin Burst. So this card is a fun little fusion. You can actually also fuse for this with Invocation if you have 2 Blue Eyes in your hand. Fun fact. Yeah, the better way is to actually get 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons on the field, or an alternative in a Blue Eyes, and then just contact fuse for this thing. But it's a 2-time swinger. It can't be destroyed in battle, and anything that it doesn't kill in battle you can try to banish it. Like for example, so this is handy for like if your opponent has a Dragoon on the field and they've already used up their negate, you can just crash. And then if the Dragoon didn't get an attack bonus, it dies, and if it did, it'll get banished. So kind of a win-win there. Then we have our double Invoked Makaba. This is just our walking negate. It's so good. This card is just the end-all be-all for this deck, really. And also the really cool thing, one of the things I've also been starting to realize about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like some of the cards that you want to play, hey, you're not really playing them as a negate to your opponent. Sometimes you're just playing them as a card that they will fear, and therefore they're going to waste time and resources getting rid of that card. And Invoked Makaba makes a really good, like, a lot of the times a lot of players they focus on this card so much on the field they forget about all the other threatening things that are in the graveyard, in the hand, or set face down. So it's kind of funny. I can't remember the specifics of the entire game, but I remember I won one game because I had an alternative and this. And then I had some hand traps, and I had a set Chalice and a set the ultimate creature because I happened to get lucky and draw it with that opening hand. And what ended up happening is the guy ended up between the hand traps and the Makaba's effect itself, the guy ended up using like 3 cards trying to get rid of the damn thing. And when he finally did, he would have gotten the game if it hadn't been for the alternative he left on me on the field and this. So just kind of a funny, powerful thing about this card. Anyway, another really cool thing about the Invoke deck that's in the extra deck is this guy. I have been underestimating this guy for so long. That ability to this card is the ultimate Conductor Tyranno of any Invoked variant deck. This is so powerful. I have forgot. Like, I can't tell you how many games I have stolen from people who otherwise, if I didn't have this card, they would have won because they walled up and I couldn't do anything. But this guy does piercing, and so many times I have used him in combination with Alistair's hand effect, because a lot of people forget that this card also has a quick effect in the hand, ditching, giving him an extra 1,000 points, and then of course he gets himself extra points for being, for the opponent having cards. And one of the other really cool things that I've done is like dropping 2 of them, giving him that bonus. Oh my god, it's it's like, oh, damage. Like once you simplify the game state, it's just damage. Like literally I've stolen games I shouldn't have won because my opponent was able to wall up thanks to that card. Invoked Raging, it's just kind of it doesn't really come up all that often, but sometimes it can. You can actually cut this card if you don't want to play it. I just really wanted to play it because it's a quick effect. Putting some face down sometimes does come up, and sometimes you are locked under certain things. So this kind of gives you the chance to play if you're like locked under the wind barrier statue. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it can come up. This is another one you probably could cut if you don't want to play it. Invoked Caliuga. Because I needed something to fill the extra deck, and this it's just kind of another, it's kind of like how Invoked Makaba comes up as a card your opponent has to answer right then and there. That is what this card really does. It's just kind of like, it's kind of a stall for a turn type of card. It doesn't, because they're going to get rid of it that turn, but it might save you from like dying that turn. So that's kind of what it seems to be for me anyway with this variant of the deck. Now we're getting into the Exceeds plays. We got Hope Harbinger. It's pretty obvious, excuse me. It's a spell negate. It also has a really fun effect where it can like protect other monsters by making the opponent battle it, although that rarely ever comes up. like, for example, if you have Return of the Dragon Lords in the graveyard, one of the things I've done is put it in defense mode, make the opponent attack it, and then let the return save this guy from dying, and like maybe that was like their one swing or something that round. It's just kind of a fun little thing you can do. All right, so this is an interesting tech card. I used to play Felgram, the Divine Dragon Knight, but I decided with Invoked Mechaba, I didn't really need to do that anymore. I realized, why am I playing this monster that, yes, it is a monster negate, but it doesn't really help all that much. So here is the card I decided to replace it with, is a fun little tech card. So basically what the Hermetic Sky Dragon Overlord Heliopolis does is if something targets your side of the field, whether it's in your graveyard, your field, or your banish pile, this guy is the one time says no. So if they were to say, like, try to monster reborn one of your monsters, for example, you can say no. I think this could even stop things like Called by the Grave. I have seen it. I have stopped things like Impermanence with it. And, you know, things like that. So that has come up. And, you know, with Nebula Dragon, it's just a 0 attack, not going to do anything. And since when you play stuff like Nebula Dragon, you get trapped into dragons. Well, since the only Xyz monsters I have are dragons, now that effect doesn't really have to, I don't have to worry about the effect so much. And being able to disrupt targeting effects also kind of helps a little bit with Sky Strikers. Like I did have one game where I was playtesting where I actually got both these guys in the field, and it was just 2 times says no, and it added up over time. All right, now we're getting into the synchro plays, which are you won't see these too often. Okay, so the first one we have is Virtual World Kyubi Shinshin. It's basically just Dark Law. Ultimately, or what you're doing is you're forcing the opponents, everything on the field is going to go to the banish pile. And of course, this card puts the stuff that's banished during the battle phase back in the graveyard, which allows us to recur resources we lost. For example, like Ancient Stone can get returned and then bounce a Blue Eyes card back to my hand, and then we can just keep doing that over and over again, assuming this card didn't get blasted off the field. But it's also it's a really cool thing is it's another card that the opponents have to answer. That's what I really like about this deck is there's a lot of cards that the opponents that are front, especially in this extra deck, that an opponent just can't ignore. They have to respond to these things, and that's the really cool thing about this deck. Then we have the other nonchalantly cards. All right, so you got your standard combo, the Spirit and the Azure Eyes. Spirit Dragon is something you might want to make if you're up against something that's going to be a little more graveyard heavy, so you can negate something in the graveyard as well as swap out for this, and then go get your normal dragons or the Spirit Dragon. Because, you know, bouncing back row, and then of course non-targeting can't be destroyed. That's kind of handy with a 3,000 defense points. It's handy. It's not great. It's not handy. Actually, you could probably cut these if you wanted to be honest. I just, you know, I really like the Blue Eyes theme, so that's why I keep them. But honestly, you could cut these and play better Synchro 9s if you wanted to. You can even cut them all together. To be honest, there's a lot of room in this extra deck for cards that you can play for a more competitive style of the game. But now we're gonna go into the Link monsters. We got your Nightmare Phoenix. It's just, you know, standard back row pop. All right, and then we have your Link Karibo. This is to get rid of your level 1 tuners. And, you know, also it's in the battle phase it protects you. And these cards have to be shown together. All Mirage and Secure Gardener. I didn't realize the 1-card Mechaba that is these cards. I didn't realize how powerful that really was. Also, All Mirage being fire also sets up Purgatrio too. So I didn't realize how powerful this was until I actually managed to get one of these guys. And I got it thinking, oh, well, I'll test it out. It's probably not going to be that much different, because in my old school versions, I would kind of rely on, like, summoning him and then, like, having an Ancient Stone or a White Stone in my hand. And then, like, that would be how I kind of went plus or broke even in the old school version of this deck, because he would get banished, and then of course you do the standard invocation play to put him back in the hand, put the invocation back in the deck, and then of course at the either at the end of the turn or at the you know, for the Ancient Stone, or at the, you know, or you got the White Stone off, you got to add a Blue Eyes, and that was kind of how you did the broke even play there. But now I don't have to do that. That 1 card in Mechaba is so good that, you know, I didn't realize how how viable that really is, because you just and then you just invocation fuse off and turn this guy into a Mechaba, and then I didn't realize it, but you know, it's okay. You live and you learn, and you know, and like I said, guys, there's actually a lot of wiggle room in here. Like I said, you don't have to play these. In fact, I rarely ever go into the synchros at all. and I don't really come up to him. Like, these are like the cards that I saw play often, but like, look at that. There's 4 cards in there. Like, you don't have to play these cards if you don't want to. You can. And also, the really cool thing about this deck, that just to gush for a minute here, is you have a lot of cards your opponents just can't ignore. Like, look at these cards. Your opponents just cannot ignore these cards. They have to fight. They have to do something to get rid of these cards. Like, look at that. Like, that's just some... You know what I mean? Like, there's all of these cards are threatening cards. And it seems to be like they're threatening cards regardless of format, which I find really cool, because when you throw cards like that out there, the cards like your opponent just has to respond to, because if they don't, they're going to get punished for it. It also makes it really hard for them to decide what to do next. I can't tell you how many games I've won because my opponents were so busy focusing on trying to get rid of these guys that they didn't see the other combos or pay attention to like the backup that's in this deck. So anyway, guys, that's just a really fun Invoked Blue Eyes deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure that you leave me a thumbs up. It really helps push my videos up in the algorithm so people can see them. I'm trying to get monetized, and preferably by next year. So if you guys could help me out in that goal, I would really much appreciate it. I'd like to be a monetized creator by 2022. So do me a favor, guys. Give me a like. If you're new to the Ben 10,000 of yugioh channel, please consider subscribing. It would be greatly appreciated. And guys, let me know what you think of this deck. And also leave me tips in the comments below. I'm definitely looking for cheap cards that I can get that can improve this deck. I'm always looking to make minor improvements that are also not going to hurt my budget. So leave that in the comments below. You guys are greatly appreciated. I wouldn't be even at the number that I am without any of you. And just thank you guys. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!